trying to, I couldn't get it done.
Go down to, oops.
Okay, today's hearing will be called to order. This is a hearing to discuss the parking lot fees, which were recently passed. We will hear from whoever wants to speak on the matter. I don't have any particular order. Do you have a particular order that you'd like to take things in? I will ask that you restrict your comments to a few minutes because there are several people here and we only have an hour for this. So,
Up to 10 minutes to speak so they can get it all in.
and we understand, you know, the nature of your concerns, so hopefully you're bringing something new to the table that we didn't discuss last time. So whoever would like to come up first and speak, feel free. Just when you come up to the podium, your name and address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Al D'Amico. I have a parking lot at 646 Ocean Avenue. Has 176 spaces. Based on my annual income, approximately $143,580. It averages, if you take 365 days a year, we don't operate all those days, but it averages $2.23 a space per day, per space. And
How much was that, sir?
it averages $2.23 per space per day. That's at 100% occupancy on 176 spaces for 365 days based on my present income. Basically, we don't operate 365 days because there's very few commuters on Saturday, Sunday, holidays, vacation days, school vacations, so we lose a lot of days. So that's what brings down our average. And the letter I received from the licensing board originally showed a increase in a tax of $1 per space, which means that would be almost 50% of my gross right now. And that doesn't count my expenses. My expenses to operate the lot, the taxes are $36,000 a year. The property is valued at $1,050,000 or something like that. My licensing fee at the present is I think it's $4,400 or $4,040, something like that. Let's see, I got my telephone expenses, $500. I have my son management in the morning. Before I get there, I work a full shift, but he opens in the morning, and he receives $12,000 a year. My maintenance repair with snow removal is around $6,000 a year. My insurance is $875. The electric is $1,235, and the business certificate, which you got to have to get the license, is $40. So the total cost is $61,000. So it gives me a net of $82,430. And that has to be for my compensation and my investment. So the value of $1 million piece of land at 5% is $50,000. So I could put that anywhere and buy a piece of real estate without going to work. I have to work 5 days a week, 6 hours a day in the morning, and this is my only compensation return on my investment. So the competing lots around me are owned by the MBTA and the City of Revere. They pay no licensing fees, no taxes, no contribution to the City of Revere. Over the 40 years I've been there, I've paid over $1 million in taxes and fees. I received no services from the City of Revere in the past 40 years.
Excuse me just one moment. I would like to keep this conversation to the license holders that we're dealing with today.
That's
You're
what I am.
talking about,
I'm a licensed-
yes, I don't want to talk about those that aren't licensed, and we have court proceedings going on. So if we can just
Oh,
keep it...
they're not licensed.
But, and so they're not here. This is only for licensed individuals. So I would like to keep this to these 7 that are properly licensed, and to give us, this is more of an
Well,
informative meeting for me.
you-
I'm not going to take that into consideration, sir. If you want to talk about Wonderland Dog
Okay,
Park.
I will do that. Okay, I will
Okay.
take it into
I just don't think it's fair to those that are sitting here. You're now turning it that, well, someone's not paying nothing, it sounds like,
Well,
you
here's
know.
the idea. They're my competition. If you
Well,
charge me
I
$1...
understand, but they're not
Well,
licensed,
if you
sir.
charge me $1, and you say to me, well, raise your price $1, and I do that, I will be marketing my space for more than they're marketing theirs. That's unfair competition. That's unfair
But,
business
sir, we
practices.
can't address that. That's a court order. I
Well-
really want to hear from those we're licensing and those we can help if we can.
Okay,
Okay,
then
thank you.
my plea is this. My plea is this. Any undue additional cost to me will make it non-profitable. And I don't think the city of Revere wants to put me out of business
No, we're not
as
anti-business.
a parking lot.
Do you have any overnight parking?
Yes, I do.
Do you have park and fly operation?
What's that?
A park and fly operation?
No. What happens is people come into my lot, if they want to go to the airport, I have a little envelope, they put their registration number on it, and then they put $5 for as many days as they want to stay. And
That's
we don't get
park
too
and
many of them. We probably get about 1 a week, 2 a week, that's about it.
So people come to your lot, they leave.
Just to go to work.
A note saying, I'm leaving for a few days, I'm gonna leave my car here, and they leave you with money.
They leave $5, $10, whatever they're going
That's
to.
a park and fly.
No,
So what would you think of a proposal for a 2-tiered license system where you had commuter lots?
well, I'll
and you had a
eliminate,
park and
well,
fly
then
lot?
I will eliminate the overnight parking because I can't afford anything. So I can eliminate that.
Well, that would be up to you, you'd have to make that business decision.
No, I will put the sign up, no overnight, no long-term parking. Because I can't afford the parking fee I pay now. And it's only $4,040. I mean, $4,040.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. D'Amico, just in closing, because at each end of the information that you give us so that we can make the information, I don't see where you put in those figures the special events such as the sandcastles, that your turnover is all day long.
All the income is here.
It's all backed up.
All the income is here.
And,
That's what I
Yeah,
average with this,
but sir,
with the sandcastles, that's what I
sir, can I
average.
finish? Also with the sandcastle, you're doubling your fees.
I do more,
Parkings.
I more than double it.
You have, in the past you have.
I always do, more
You
than
always
that.
do. Well, that's what I'm saying. All we're here for, I think, today...
But that's the income, that's the total income
sir,
with the
can I-
sandcastles.
can I just finish, Mr.
$2 a
D'Amico?
space.
We're trying to get all the facts so we can make a just decision here. That's all
Go
I'm
ahead.
trying to get to. So you do have a big turnover when we have events there, so that's additional, and it's double the money.
But that's in the income I gave you. What the income I gave you is with the sandcastles. That's the 143,
And that's the double the price on that also.
143, and it's only $2 a day, $2.23 a day is my income on an average space.
So if you charge $15 on Sandcastle, you're making $2.
Right, but I don't get any parking on Saturday and Sunday. I got 130 days, 140 days, I have no parking. I
All
don't,
right, why don't we do this? All right, let's not question what I need to know is average revenue per day. You've been doing this for 40 years?
what's that?
You've been doing this for 40 years?
I've been parking for about,
Let me finish my, okay, so on an average per day per spot, you average what?
based on the whole year.
Everything, the
On
whole
the
year,
whole-
overnight, commuter
The whole-
rail, special events.
I do about 140, I think the number was last year, $143,580 last year.
And that's
That's for 176 spaces for 365 days.
Okay, and that's usually what you're in that range each and every year, close, on average.
I know I've had, way back, before the construction, I did much, much better.
Okay, so last 10 years it was, or 5 years?
I would say about 5 years ago, or 4 years, 5 or 6, I did much better.
Okay,
Right now, it's terrible, because I got the construction, and they have the barrels, and they have,
gotcha.
they covered all my entrances. They can hardly get into my lot now.
Okay, thank you.
Take a ride by there.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Large print for you. Jim Marcotte, Select Parking, 60 VFW Parkway. I want to start by saying I do appreciate you guys taking the time today to listen to us. We do have concerns. I want to do whatever I can to clarify some of the information for you, so you guys can make a decision that makes sense for the city and makes sense for the operators. I just put together some quick numbers. With all due respect, I don't think my P&L and how much money I make or don't make, it's irrelevant to the conversation today, I believe. I think there should be a license fee. I think there potentially should be an increase because it hasn't been changed in a long period of time. But I also think there has to be some separation between airport parking businesses or businesses that deal with park and fly or have their businesses located in Revere. There has to be a difference between them and a storage facility, because that's what some of the other lots are doing. Without mentioning any names, they're storing vehicles and they're not providing anything to the city that benefits the city. They're coming from East Boston, not a lot of Revere employees, not paying any taxes, and causing a lot of the angst. So I'm going to end it there. So what I did was I put together some numbers. I wasn't able to speak to the Hampton Inn before today, but they are here, so they can speak to their own numbers. But the numbers I put together for Select Parking, the Comfort Inn Suites, and Thrifty. Right now we have an estimated 500 spots. The employees that we have today are about 110, with 70% of those employees being Revere residents. Between real estate, property, and occupancy tax, we're paying about $1.5 million. Based on the numbers I got from the Hampton Inn, they're about $1 million, so that number is now $2.5 million. The excise tax from car rental surcharges, or from car rental excise tax, is in excess of $300,000 a year. The rental car surcharge and miscellaneous other taxes is about $75,000 a year. So if you add up all the taxes, including if we added the Hampton Inn into these figures, we're talking about over $3 million in taxes annually that we're paying today. So that's where the concern is that we're coming from, and I believe that there's plenty of case law out there that says you can't take a tax and have it be in the form of a license. And based on the increase in the dollar amount that you're looking at, that's really what this is. So I think there has to be some separation between a relative increase or modest increase in a license fee to deal with the license issue, and some type of tax that goes through legislation and put it in front of the people to vote if there should be a tax on parking revenue. I mean, I think it's two separate issues. I also believe that there should be some structure between an operation that doesn't do overnight parking or park and fly. They just do daily parking. But I think the biggest problem is coming from the storage of vehicles. So I wouldn't be opposed to $365 if you're storing vehicles and you don't have a business in Revere. But for us, the people that are operating, our employees are going to the establishments in Revere, our customers are going to the establishments in Revere, and I think we're paying enough taxes today. So I would like to have those issues looked at separately, and I'm willing to agree to a license increase, but I think it needs to be something that's modest.
Well, I appreciate your concern. I think this is an honest increase. I mean, looking on the surface, $1 a day doesn't seem to be a huge increase for everybody, but I understand the optics of it. It doesn't look like it looks like it's excessive. but really, $1 a day doesn't seem very excessive. What would your position be on a two-tiered license system? Where you
It depends on what the tier structure is, but let me just go back and say, today, okay, just on the spots that we have, the license fee is $12,500 for the 500 spots for the 3 operators. That's $25 a spot for 500 spots. Your plan is to go to 365 times 500 spots. That's $182,500. It's a $170,000 increase. That's a 10% increase in our overall taxes. It's on record at the last meeting that someone said no one likes their property taxes going up. I agree with you, we don't. But I gotta tell you, if anyone had their taxes go up by 10% or go up by $170,000 from one year to the next, I think that's excessive. You can look at the $1 figure any way you want to. It's a huge increase. It's 1,400%. So you have to look at it from a percentage increase. Let's take a 2% increase in your property values. Take that across, extrapolate that across all of our taxes of $3 million. 2% increase is $60,000. So take a $60,000 fee, divide it by that number of spots. If you end up at $40, $50, $60, whatever it is, then I think it's something that makes sense, but not this increase.
I understand that.
I just have a couple of comments. You have these Revere employees, mostly residential. Are they full-time or part-time employees?
With us, we have 90% of our employees are full-time.
Are full-time?
I couldn't answer for the other operators here. I'm sure they can get up and give you some numbers
Okay.
relative to that.
And I just want to, again, this is just a clarification. I want to hear both sides. I also think that we have to take into consideration 25 years, not $1 increase for 25 years. I'm just wondering, had each board that was sitting here revisited this every 3 years, where would we have been today? So I think what happened was all the years, you know, we didn't increase, and maybe we should have looked at it. We may have been somewhere around here right now. So I think for the 25 years, nobody paid taxes. I still think that the increases, had we looked at it, as you said, the city does with their taxes, we may have been very close to what we were speaking about. And the other thing is, when you say, well, you look at a different tax, I can tell you, we have Class 2 licenses in the city. When we raise their fees, and we have raised them quite high, we don't consider it.
What's quite
it is-
high?
Well, I don't, again, sir, I'm only going to talk about
Okay.
parking. I do not want to
Then can you answer a question?
Open a can of worms.
Can you
and
answer a
then-
question that if our license fee was raised to $1 a day, would the cost of our license be the highest for any business in the city?
I don't believe that, no.
Okay.
Okay? And I don't want to, again, because they're going to come running up here, and when we say a figure to you, I'm sure they're going to say, wow, we'd like a hearing, you know? So
But
with
let me
that,
ask
I
you a
don't wa-
question. When I was parking 25 years ago, maybe between 15 and 25 years ago, when I first started parking in Revere, they had a 30-cent or 20-cent per parking transaction. That when you went and got your license, you also had a parking fee. Do you recall that? Okay. I think the reason that I was told from the city attorney was that parking fee was imposed without going through legislation, without putting out to the public. So it was then taken off, and I don't know what happened and why it never came back on and why it never made it to legislation. So I think that when you look at the increase of what this is really a tax. It's a tax on our business, it's a tax on our revenue, and if that's the case, then I think it needs to be treated that way. Not a license fee that all of a sudden in November, I gotta cut a check for $110,000, because I can tell you right now, that's probably not going to happen. And I bet you any money there's going to be a lot of operators here that are gonna say, you know something, for the amount of parking we do, we may not wanna renew our license. They can speak for themselves. But it
So
is a
you're
lot.
saying all this commuter parking will be gone from our city? Is that what
No,
you're
no,
saying?
no, what I'm saying
okay.
is, what I'm saying is a $100,000 increase
Okay, I think that...
doesn't make any sense.
I think, I really appreciate it, thank you. You've
Okay.
answered my
Actually,
questions.
I have a
think we
question
have
for
to
you before
move
you
on.
leave.
I think we have to move on
So,
on this.
no,
It's
real
already
quick, I need a
out of
question.
time.
So is there a reason why you didn't
What time do you have to be out here?
list any revenue?
Until after the meeting, I'll get
Occupancy per,
Because, to be quite honest, what does my revenue have to do with a license fee? Are you going to tell me that because I do X amount of revenue, we feel that we can get this much from you in a license fee? That should be irrelevant. You want to charge me a tax based on my revenue? Then I'll come back here with some figures to say this is how much revenue I do. And by the way, when you give me that tax, then I can pass it on to our customers so it's not coming out of the pocket of the operator. So that's why I think there needs to be some separation between your license fee and your tax, and that way, if you get the increase and you get to the end goal that you want to get to, we can pass it on, and it's passed on to the customer via tax, not via a license.
so if I was to look into every one of these expenses, they're pretty spot on.
They're low.
Like, you have 110 estimated employees, so they're working in that capacity.
We got 110 employees
That are working at the
that are
parking lot?
working for the organizations that I represented here today. They can tell you how many work with relative to
So
the
there's
parking business.
But not 110. We're talking a lot less than that.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's not really, so, anyway, my point is, it's good to know the big, the whole picture, and again, I don't base the decision on revenue versus expenses. The other gentleman was more than happy to share what I'd like to take all the information into consideration, because at the end of the day, I will look at, the revenue difference between the two, between costs and revenue. It may impact my decision, but if you don't want to disclose it, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that up.
One other thing I like to mention as well, too.
Okay. Yeah, anything?
Can I do 2 seconds?
Yep.
If we come up with a license fee that is an increase, I think that you should take into consideration having it either prorated or allow us to pay a quarterly license fee so we don't have to come up with X amount of dollars in advance for the following year.
So what we can do at the end of the meeting, there's 6 minutes left, each one can have a final 1 minute. If something comes up to your mind,
All right.
I'll come back to the podium. How's
All right,
that?
thank you.
Thanks.
Before any other speaker gets up, and I know this may be information, it may not be information, but today, the MBTA just went from $7 a day parking to $10 at the MBTA stations. So I want to keep that in mind too. So someone that's charging $4 a day parking, they do go up. And again, it's going to come to Revere. They're starting in Quincy, and I've been on the phone with them this morning. But anyways, I just want to make that statement. I don't want to talk about the MBTA. I want to talk about the 7 license holders. But I just wanted to share that information.
All right, who's next?
Would anybody else like to speak on this matter?
Oh, ladies first. Ladies first.
Hi, Jean Geary from the former Caravan Club. I would just like to address that I have accurate information, that I have the list of all the parking lots that are going up for the T. And actually, the Wonderland the Wonderland subway station, which is now 5, is actually going up to 7, not 10, and it's going down on the weekends to 2. And that'll be in effect August 1st.
Because they're trying to get people to go into Boston. I went to the
Correct,
meeting.
but they're not going up to 10, they're going up to 7.
They will be going up to 10. This is trial, both weekends and during the week. Okay?
But
And again, I want to only speak
Okay.
about the 7. We're going to close this hearing very shortly. We have a 3 o'clock.
Yep,
regular
that's
meeting.
fine. I wanted to go over what my expenses were and what my costs were as well. I know we talked about that. I'm going to base it on 30, as you know, I sent you my license. I only have a license from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's only Monday through Friday. So I don't park overnight. I don't park for park and fly. I don't park weekends, okay? So I base it on 30 spaces a day, and the reason why is because I do have holidays, vacations, snow days, et cetera. So, it could be 40 spaces one day, but it could be 10 on one day as well. So I based on 30 spaces. If I charge $4 a day, which I do, it's basically $600 a week times 4 weeks. So we're talking that times 12 months, it's about 28.8. So let's round it off to $30,000 a year. That's what I'm going to say that our revenue is. After my taxes, and which is about $13,500 a year, as well as land rental. I do have a space of land in my parking lot that I don't own. The electric company owns it, so I have to rent that out to them. I mean, they rent it to me. Also plowing and sanding, and then my insurance, because I have to have insurance on my property. And I'm not including building repair and painting, roof repair, heating, cooling systems, sprinkler systems, not even touching on that. My expenses for the year, just on those 4 things I mentioned, is $21,381. So if I'm making $30,000 and I'm subtracting the $21,381, and then I subtract what my license is currently, which is $1,525, my profit is like $562. And that's pretty legitimate. I don't take a pay, I don't have employees. One of the reasons why I operate my business is because I'm paying off a personal, not a personal, but a business lawsuit from years ago. And so I really don't make much money at all. I understand you want to go up. You made a comment just a few minutes ago about how if the licensing board for the past 25 years had gone up every 3 years. But yeah, right, exactly. So I figured it out. I was just figuring, let's say they went up $10 every 3 years, starting 25 years ago. That would actually only be an increase.
$10 a year, I don't think that's realistic. It wouldn't go up $10
Well, if
a
you,
year.
whether you think it's realistic or not, the bottom line is,
We
if a
wouldn't
licensing
bother waiting
board
for
was
$10.
sitting here and they went up every 3 years like $10, which would be $35, $45, $55, etc., we would be up to about $90 right now. So I look at that and I say, okay, now I did some checking in the area to see how many what other cities pay. And you made a comment the other time I was here, is that, we're close to the airport, so we should be able to charge more for our park and fly. Well, I called and I spoke with the zoning guy in Boston, and East Boston is part of that, and they charge $60 per space per year. So I'm thinking, wow, prime parking in Boston, all around all the venues that they have, and those people are paying $60 per year. But yet, you want to go up to $365. To me, it does seem like it's gouging. So that's the new information that I have. I don't want to take up any more time. I know you have some stuff to say, but that's what I wanted to add in.
Well, the only thing I will say, again, on your spot, if you're only using 30, I live right near the area,
Yeah.
so 30 seems low. When
You
I
could
go
say
by
30,
there-
40.
When I go by there, it's more than 30,
What
but
do you-
that's okay.
Yep.
Why don't you cut your license back then?
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. So, years ago, even before, back when I was a nightclub, the city had told me that I have to license every single spot to have a parking lot, every single spot. Not because of the caravan, not because of the caravan, but because of the parking business. So I did. So when I went to, fast forward, when I closed the club and leased to a church, I went before the board in order to be able to still keep my license, whatever, and they said to me, okay, you have how many spaces? And I said, I have 61, and they said, okay, that's what you need to license. So I'm only going by what I did.
Well, I don't think the board would feel this way. We could give you X amount of numbers. I would not hold you to have to license every spot, but you couldn't use it.
And, that was a new revelation to me back when I got this in the mail and I spoke with Ira, my counselor, because at the time I was always told that I had to license 61. Wasn't you that told me, but in the past, and I've been licensed now for, I don't even know how many years, it hasn't been too long, but it's,
No, it hasn't been too long. I
But-
was on the board when we gave the license.
So-
But the part that if I remember correctly, you were told you were leasing a piece of property.
Yep.
And that did not have to be included in the number of spots you wanted for your parking.
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand what you're saying.
You're leasing a piece of property.
I am, to the church,
Right.
correct.
You don't have to include that on your property you own.
No, I don't. I only have 61 spaces, period. And the only reason why, and I know Ira talked about this the last time I was here, the only reason why you were willing to give me my license and let me continue parking was because the church is opened after 6 p.m. at night, and they're open on the weekends. That's one of the reasons why I only have 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., because two businesses are not supposed to operate on the same property at the same time. So that's the reason why I'm only open. And again, I'm just trying to get a piece of the pie. You know, I told you that last time. It's not a huge piece, but it's a piece, and it does pay for my bills. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't mind paying an increase. I personally also feel that 365 is excessive, and that I'm in a complete different class than everybody else because I'm really limited by my license. And so that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're up.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jeff Baltzer, one of the owners of the Hampton Inn at Logan Airport, 230 Lee Burbank Highway. Thank you for having this meeting this afternoon. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time for this. And I'll be pretty brief because I think a number of things have already been said that are relevant to us, including some of the, the tax and occupancy tax and real estate tax figures that our hotel represents for the community. But I think I just also wanted to take a second to scale for our property the increase in the license expense. So at our hotel, we have 375 parking spaces. At $25 a space, that was about $9,400 a year that we were paying. And our purpose for having the license is, of course, exclusively for park and fly business. Most of our revenue at the hotel, the vast majority of it comes from selling hotel rooms. So this is, supplemental to our overall income for the property. It's a relatively small portion of what we do. But it's a way for us to try to maximize the value of our real estate and recognize some additional income. So $9,400 is what we had previously been paying. With the increase to $365 a space, that's going to go up to over $130,000 a year. It's like a 13 or 1400% increase, which is just, a mind-boggling increase when you think about it. I can't think of anything in my personal or professional life where I've ever seen an annual increase of anything to that scale. So it was very surprising when we saw that, and we became engaged and started this conversation, and that's where we are today. But my simple request is I really appreciate you guys to reconsider getting it down closer to what the current rate is. You've mentioned maybe a different tiered structure for park and fly. I'd be certainly open to hearing what that is. I think it does bisect two different issues that you're trying to deal with. But I'd really appreciate consideration of trying to get this more reasonable. I'll be frank, if there isn't a change made to this, the revenue that we do for park and fly is less by a pretty wide margin than what the fee would be, so it's no longer profitable for us to pursue it. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to maximize the value of my real estate and would like to be able to have the opportunity to pursue it, but just not at anything more than a modest increase of the fee.
Thank you, sir. Well,
Good afternoon, Dan Donahue, Comfort Inn & Suites, 85 American Legion Highway. Again, we appreciate your time. You didn't have to do this, and we really do appreciate you listening. To your point, thank you. You're welcome. So to your point about it's crazy to raise it $10 per 2 years. When you think about it, 20 years ago when this fee was instituted at $25, revisit it 2 years later, wouldn't it be absurd to raise it $10, $35? And if you keep on that path, you're still less than $125 a year to this day. That's all I ask. I ask that you just rethink this. $1 a day in its approach seems simple, seems realistic, but the impact that it has, kind of like my colleague here, we would close that lot. We would.
why would raising the price of $1 a day put everybody out of business? I don't understand that.
Because of the taxability, we have a back lot that we lease. And what we pay for the lease of that lot, which is mostly overflow, honestly. We'd make our employees park there. We use it for overflow for margaritas. We do a lot with that lot. I don't know why, and we're talking to our attorney after this, I don't know why we put it as a park and fly lot, but we did. I think we leased it from, whatever. We leased it in the back. So, it just would. When you're going from $25 to, 1,400%
But really, you're going from $14 a day to $15 a day. What's the big increase? It's only $1 a day per space.
Because people wouldn't pay it. Because they would find another place to go. They'd go to East Boston. See, I
Okay.
guess what I don't, and I know the commuter issue is a big issue and the traffic and so on and so forth, but there's revenue deemed from traffic. You know, people eat in our restaurants, they use our gas, they stop at our businesses, they go to the business, they go to Target, the traffic isn't a bad thing. So, it's, when you think about the increase over a 20-year period and how you would arrive at that, $365 is way too much, in my opinion. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this matter? Mr. D'Amico, would you like to speak again? All right, I will, we have some more time, sir.
Only 1 minute. I just want to explain, at the dollar increase, I think I told you my total net income was about $80,000 or something like that. What was it? Yeah, $82,000. That's for my investment in labor. If you increase my fee from $4,000 to $64,000, my income goes down to $20,000.
That's at the current parking rate. If you increase your rate by $1,
I can-
you'll cover the whole thing.
That would be wonderful. If you fill my spaces, that would be great. I would raise it $3 and make a profit. But I'll tell you what, if I raised it 50 cents, I would be empty tomorrow. I have competition of 3,000 parking spaces, and they go right there before they come to me. The only reason they come to me is because I'm usually cheaper. I'm not cheaper anymore. I'm the same price. They were supposed to go to $7 when they built the garage. The city was supposed to take their lot and go to $7. They never did. So the city has a private lot right near my lot on the other side of the bridge. The city owns and operates, which they shouldn't be in business, first of all, but that's, because they're competing against me. So if I go to pay this, and it's due in November, I understand, right? We usually pay our fee
Renewal.
in November. So I would have to go out and borrow $64,000 to go in business. Well, I'm gone, because I'm not working for $20,000 a year, 5 days a week. I'll go to Market Basket, I'll get $15 an hour, I'll make more money. I'll just put a gate and that's it. And it's a shame on the city because they don't protect us individual who've been here faithfully taking care of the people. But that's my position.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And again, I understand what everybody's saying here. I sympathize with everyone. Everyone has their own story. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not for a two-tier. It's a parking lot license and that's it. Because if you look at, you want to do two-tier, you can look at, Mr. D'Amico has a lot of land. It's great. We've got Ms. Gary here who has a building on hers, who has to pay taxes on the building and the land. So I don't see how we're going to break this up. I'm not one for breaking this up. I'm one for coming up with a price that works for everyone. And one thing, I'm here, I work for the city. I am concerned about the traffic the commuters bring in. We know that most people in our city, it's a beautiful city. I love my city. We drive the beach is beautiful. Mr. D'Amico, you see it all day long. Come supper hour, you don't leave your home. You do not go out until that commuter traffic is gone. And it is commuter traffic. They head into Marblehead, Swampscott, and they're moving on. So it does bring a lot to our city. That being said, I think we're pro-business. I think we've always been pro-business. We want to work with the city of Revere. We want to work with our very high taxpayers. And an increase is desperately needed on the parking. How we go about it, like I say, we can take a good look at the last 25 years, what we should have gone up to in the 25 years. I find $10, we probably wouldn't call them in for $10. But I see where you're going with that when we come up with the bottom figure of what we should go up. The dollar-based, when this motion was brought up, the dollar, seems very reasonable. I know if I were parking somewhere, I don't want to drive in Boston, pay Boston fees. I don't want to pay, cost you $3 just to go over the bridge, let alone the parking when you get there. So, me, I would want to park in Revere. I would want to walk across the street, get on that train, and I'm in Boston. I've already saved $3, and I'm local. So, I don't think people are gonna leave and say, I'll pay $3 more, go to Boston, and then pay $5 more to park. That's not gonna happen. We're not gonna hurt anyone in this room. Jim has a, we're
2
running
minutes.
out of time, okay?
I think what you have to do is maybe educate yourself a little bit on all the third-party websites that are out there on the internet.
I have, sir, and I
So,
went to the
so what
meetings.
happens, what I'm saying is if you take your $1, look at the difference between the rates of all the companies that are operating right now.
So you
on the-
didn't let me
on-
finish, that's why I was
Okay.
finishing, okay?
What
Go
was
ahead.
that? So $1, that's why it's hard to sell the dollar, because we're competing with other people on the internet, that if the rate is $12.99 and we raise our rate to $13.99, nobody's gonna book that reservation. They're gonna go with the $12.99 reservation. That's the problem. It's not about coming in and saying, hey, we'll charge you an extra $1. It's about your price point on the internet. If it's a hotel and you got a hotel at $189 and you got another hotel at $185 and you think they're comparable, you're gonna choose the $185. So that's the problem that we have, is there's so many third-party websites that are all competing, representing a lot of the operators in the room. That's the issue.
Mr. Marcotte, we have gone over all of that. I don't think you, and to say we haven't educated ourselves, I find a little offensive.
Well, I'm just
I think
saying-
we've been working for 2 months. I've gone to meetings. I went to the MBTA. I've gone on the internet. I know other people who have Park and Fly. I know people that work at Logan Airport with Park and Fly. So, believe me, I'm not uneducated.
And I apologize for that, but I think what I'm saying is that's where the dollar comes into play.
And we
Because
understand, sir, and that's
Okay.
why we have this meeting today.
Okay.
Okay? You made your point at the
Okay.
last meeting. We decided, let's open it up again, let's hear what everybody has to say. That's all this is about.
All right, thank you.
So if I were gonna say we're staying at 365, meeting closed, okay? So we did open it up to make sure we had that extra 2 months to, look at the figures again. That's all we're here for.
I would like to have consideration for a two-tiered system. I actually would, because I think that Ms. Gary and the other gentleman are in a different category, although he is operating a Park and Fly. So, but
He's
if he,
operating a Park and Fly. She's paying a lot more taxes with buildings on it.
well, that's,
So
you
I'm
know,
saying, you know, when you
I
start
can't really
paying
get into that
yourself,
kind of stuff.
I,
But what I would recommend is maybe a two-tiered system where the commuter would pay $100 and the Park and Fly would pay $200. That would be what I would consider to be a compromise, and when the motion was first passed before the city council, that was the recommended fee, was $100.
That was, wait a minute, that was Ira Novoselsky that put that in, and I think that a lot of the councilors, when a councilor, ward council puts something up, they automatically are gonna respect him and say, okay. I think myself, you're gonna charge this man $200 a parking spot, and you're gonna go 100, I don't find that fair.
Well, he has got a totally different business. He's got a 24-hour operation where he is parking vehicles overnight. She has got a commuter operation where they're coming in at 6 in the morning and leaving at 6 at night. I see a big difference.
And I do see a difference, but I also see the difference in the numbers of monies he's gonna pay. Today I'm looking at money, so if you charge her $100, we agree with $100.
I would say that they're totally different businesses. I would say that one of them is a Park and Fly overnight operation, which curries favor to people outside the city who want to come to the airport, park their car and leave. She, on the other hand, and this gentleman are representing commuters who drive in, drive out. It's a different business in my mind.
I agree with that, Commissioner, but I also agree that these larger businesses are bringing in so much more revenue. So we are getting a lot more taxes out of them than we would with her. So I'm for I would like to see it stay at the parking lot and then maybe another discussion, see how we could tear this. Honestly, I'm prepared today for a tier system.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of things that I would like to look at. And, you know, these people are sitting here, I think, you know, we're anti-business. Why anti-business? We're trying to work with you and yet not hurt anyone. A business like Mr. Marcotte or these hotels are bringing in huge taxes. And in some way, I feel because their business is bigger, they're bringing in more, we're going to charge them more money. I'm just for it across the board. That's how I feel about it. I'm not ready to vote on a two-tier system. I would certainly look at the increase, what we did, and I still agree when you looked at that paper and a dollar, okay, so you go up to 5, you go up to 13, whatever it is. So we re-looked at it. Maybe it was a little high. I'm willing to work with everyone, but I still feel that everybody's making, her expenses are not high. She has no employees. He's got employees' benefits and the other two hotels. So I would like it all to stay under parking lot license. Anyone wants to decrease their license, take that least part off, don't use that for numbers. You said you don't use it anyways for parking, so why pay the fee? Well, you shouldn't be paying the fee on it then. You should see anything that is with your property that you own. Those are the numbers you have, and we can adjust that at your renewal time. So that would cut your expenses down, but right now to charge someone 200, someone 100, I'm just not prepared. I'd like to hear from my other colleague with,
Do you have anything to add, Commissioner?
Yeah, so there's two issues on the table. Commissioner Solovich mentioned a two-tier, and then we also talked about just one tier earlier, you know, the previous meeting, which, you know, with that significant increase. So there's a couple of issues right there. You know, this is, in my opinion, this is such an important decision for everyone here, including the city, because it hits the bottom line. Because in a lot of our meetings, I've been here for 4 or 5 years now, you'd have 1 or 2 people coming on some issues, but it didn't have to do with money. This one has to do with money, so everyone shows up, I get it. So, that said, the way I'm gonna take my stand today is to take all the information that was brought to me and to my colleagues and go back, evaluate, do some research, understand the impacts of all different price increases. I think it's important to everybody, including the city. I'm not sure if my colleagues are listening to me, but regardless, the fact of the matter is, I'm a type of guy who's very analytical. That's just my nature. And my goal today was to gather all the information, get to know all the business owners here, understand where you're coming from. And you all sort of have the same story. Can't really increase competition, would kill us, understand. But in competition, you got to make your product a little bit better. That's just the way it is. More lights, you know, 1 day a week free, whatever. Sometimes you have to change. So you're a business owner, you should know how to do that. If not, sometimes you go out of business. That's here nor there. So I am not going to make a final decision today. If my colleagues make a motion, that's fine. I probably will stand pat and be present. So, but I am going to gather everything and be ready for the next meeting in July to make a decision and make a motion. And that's where I stand at this time. Thank you.
So I wanted to offer maybe just a little more data for you to take into account. Scott Hops from Comfort Inn Suites, 85 American Legion Highway. Similar to the Hampton Inn, you know, the Park and Fly piece is a smaller part of our business. For 2017, we did just over $73,000 for the Park and Fly piece. In 2017, we had a license for 78 spots. So that breaks down to $257 in revenue per spot per day, with $2.57 per spot per day. We use it was right around 30% occupied in terms of our Park and Fly guests over the course of the year. We have some peak times and then a lot of times where it's not used.
Which lot was, which?
Comfort Inn and Suites. So we have a lot behind our property that we lease from Paul Nealand that we use for this. And I just wanted to, say, I mean, similar to what, sorry, I didn't get your name, Jeff said, if it went up $1, all of a sudden, half of our, or, on that 257, another $1 of expenses comes in. I think we just shift our business. We don't offer that anymore, and instead of the $3,000 or $4,000 of revenue now, revenue to the city, the $28,000 that I think you might be anticipating, I think we'd just make a different decision business-wise, and so I think if it's a reasonable increase, that keeps money coming into Revere, but the dollar, yeah. On 257, I don't know if it was 40 on the $2.57. I don't know, 40 cents right, rather than $1 a day, 40 cents a day per spot. I think we'd keep operating, and so. All right, thank you.
Does anyone else have a suggestion on what would be a reasonable increase? I'm open. I'm listening. I mean, does anybody have a suggestion on a reasonable increase? I'm listening.
I mean, I think a reasonable increase is tripling our rate, going from $25 to $75, and reevaluating this in a year. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's a hard thing to come up with a number because it's all sacrifice. It isn't that we're saying from the abundance we can give you another share. Her and I, anyhow. I don't know about the other guys. And if the competition allowed us to increase, say for next year, this year, like she says, they're going to $10, and we can both post signs for $8, and you came back for $1, be great. We both make $2, you make $1, we're happy. But at this rate, at where we're at now, both of us, she's in worse position than I am because she doesn't take the volume of dollars. And I have to live on what I get. But if we have to pay, if the commuter parking lots, which are small ones, we're given a little boost, and we wanted to do it every year, because I'm sure that the parking rates will go up, then we can then participate in the grandeur of these guys that are going to have to pay the load. I don't think that it would hurt us if we paid a little more, 10 or 20% more on what we're paying now. But if I had to pay you $65,000, that's more than my taxes are. My taxes are $38,000, something like that.
Okay.
I'm out of business.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so.
Understood.
You understand? So if you want to give us a nominal because we're not filled every day. I don't know if she is, but we're not filled, and the
Understood.
weekends and all that.
I understand.
And if you want me to change my license to just the daily license to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I got to be open long enough for the people to get home from work. Sometimes they come home at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. I don't have to be overnight. So if that reduced my fee, I don't care. It's all right with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we'll close this hearing. I want to thank everybody for coming and for expressing your opinion. We will take this under advisement, and we'll have something at our next License Commission meeting, which is July 18th. We'll have a decision on what we plan to do. Just so you'll know, I'm leaning toward trying to work out a two-tier system with a commuter lot for $100 and a park and fly lot for $200, which is in the ballpark of your 40 cents for a space. And so I would think that that would be something that you folks might want to be thinking about going forward. I want to see if I can work with my fellow commissioners to come up with something along those lines.
I guess mine will be looking very closely at the two-tier. At this point, I don't see going two-tier. I would like to go across the board. And I think Mr. Commissioner Solovich is thinking in those lines. To me, if it weren't a two-tier, then everybody would, going by his suggestion, would be paying $100 a year per spot. I'm glad everybody brought their figures. I want to thank you. I'm going to look at them the next month and decide if that's the fairest way to go. When you got one company that's bringing in probably 20 times what you're bringing in, that they should pay more. I don't, that's where I disagree with the two-tier. But I would like to have the next month to think it over, although next month I will say that it's not going to be a hearing. Anybody can be present, but it's not a hearing. No one's going to be able to speak. This is the hearing, and I think just a decision should be made.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, and from my perspective, everything's on the table, from leaving it where it's at to raising it to 500, to having two tiers. So this was more about information gathering, and I think everything's on the table. Like I said, we're going to work with my colleagues, and we're going to come up with the fairest and most equitable decision we can make for both parties. Thanks. Thanks for all attending.
I guess they're leaving without a dollar per spot anyways, without an increase of $1 a spot.
Exactly.
So thank you, everybody, for all your information.
No, closing that section of the hearing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move into the regularly scheduled. Oh, that's okay. We can go on, right? Before we start the meeting, we'd like to salute the flag. So if everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
The meeting will come to order. The first order of business is the meeting minutes previously filed, the approval of the minutes for December 20th, 2017, January 17th, and February 21st of 2018. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Unanimous. The motion to approve the minutes is approved. The first order of business is a hearing. Item number 1, this would be 380 Broadway LLC, DBA Volare. Cecilia Meyer, manager.
Excuse me, one moment, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, on behalf of the licensee. Good afternoon.
Very good, sir. This is a hearing into violations of the entertainment license. The commission had received several complaints relative to operation of a DJ without the proper entertainment license. That complaint was checked out and found to be valid. The next situation was a review of the overall license of the Valaris, and it was determined that they had several areas that had been previously addressed, such as detail officers and things like that, and other conditions of the license that were not being followed. And so that's the reason that we asked Valaris to come up here today, so that we could talk about these matters.
Indeed, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cecilia is with me today, and she, I believe, appeared before the License Commission back in January of last year. And we are intending to apply to amend the entertainment license so as to include music played by I guess it's a DJ, as opposed to music played by a jukebox, which is probably, I think, something they have. I think they have singing, television, radio, jukebox. The difference being, I guess, somebody comes in and they do their own, whatever their music thing is. So I do understand there's going to be, that there needs to be another license applied for. I do believe that needs to be advertised, so we're not able to do it for this meeting. We shall do it before leaving today or first thing in the morning with regard to the DJ. That has ceased. The establishment does acknowledge that from the time that they were ordered to have a detail on certain nights, they did have a detail. They then ceased the detail officer, and he has been rescheduled and is being provided as the station is available to provide a detail officer. I should note that we are cognizant of some of the complaints that the Commission has received relative to noise and other such disturbances. They've taken whatever steps they can to take care of that. I think it may have been concurrent with the live entertainment aspect of the entertainment license, which needs to be amended. I would suggest that during the course of, at least they're serving dinner, there doesn't seem to be much of a need for a police detail. It's rather sedate. After that, barring live entertainment, singing acts, or DJs, it seems to be a little calmer than when there is a DJ. And perhaps when we appear before the Commission on the public hearing for the amendment of the license to include the disc jockey, we can discuss whether or not police detail is required at all times, or perhaps only when there is some entertainment act or something other than just dinner patrons patronizing. But for now, I'm suggesting that they keep it status quo with the detail until we can come back to the Commission for an amendment of license.
That would be a very good suggestion.
I mean, I know that
Don't have a license for DJ.
well, no, they've stopped that. They know it. I guess some of these license applications were printed in the.
I'm just confused as to why colleagues go down there, they take pictures, they tell them, and the next night, DJ's back. It's very confusing.
I don't have an answer for that, but I have an answer for what's going on now.
There were other conditions of the license that were not being followed. I believe there's a requirement for detail officers. What,
The detail's back on. He's on.
and also not allowing patrons in after a certain hour. I believe it's 12:40, was it 12:30? 12:30, no
12:30.
new patrons in?
No.
Well, I was able to walk in at 12:45 without any problem. So, and no one knows me there. So I would say that particular aspect of it is not being enforced very well. Neither is the detail officer, because there was none, and there was a DJ. And those three things are not supposed to be going on.
Apparently the chairman doesn't look like trouble, but we get that, and we understand that the licensee is under some scrutiny by the Commission, so I don't anticipate any difficulties between now and when
I
we
think this
reappear.
was said last time you were here, which probably, what, 6 months ago?
I think it was January.
Yeah, 6 months ago, I think we went through all this, and we said it wasn't gonna happen again, and, you know, we put these rules in place, and nothing's changed. It's the same as it was in January.
Yeah,
Even after being told they didn't have licenses, the proper licensing, and they went through the police department, I believe, and then just stopped calling for the detail. Just didn't call anymore. They started when we asked you to, and then no more calls, and they added more to the venue.
Yeah, I think, in fairness, both to the licensee and the commission, and try to take a 10,000-foot view of this, is maybe a review of what happens down there and what safety measures need to be employed on what days.
I think we did that, Counselor, and,
Yeah,
and they
well-
brought the paperwork for that.
Well, I don't know what the situation was vis-à-vis the DJ at that time, because it wasn't noted on the license. And I did not at that time represent them, but I think,
No, the letter's right here that they
What-
received.
what was the date that the conditions
October.
were imposed? Of 17?
No, of 16, October of
Was that
16.
16, yeah.
And then I think
Basically,
January.
you'll close your doors to patrons at 12:30. You will continue to retain a police detail every Friday and Saturday night. You will engage additional security personnel as needed.
Right, they do have their private security as well. And we do understand the requirement for the detail. We do understand the requirement for the detail. They do have private security as well.
But they were supposed to check in with the Revere Police Department when they, on weekends.
I am advised that they had, and on numerous occasions, they were not able to be provided with a detail.
You know,
Yeah, that could
Counselor?
be true,
I'd like
because,
to-
I mean, we have, a limited amount of officers in the department, and some nights there are more detail requests than there are officers to fill.
Okay.
That does happen on occasion.
Do we keep a
can't do
record
anything
of,
about that.
do we keep a record of those that do call and we're not able to send detail?
I could check with the detail officer if they can research that, they could, yeah, I'm sure.
I'd just like to make sure that, they have called.
Right, I could, going forward, I could definitely have them, note that.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor, we want to try to head stuff off here. That's kind of the plan, okay? Valari's is a nice restaurant. People seem to go there and enjoy the food. Oh, by the way, your license for serving food needs to be renewed. It's already a month overdue. So we want to see the business flourish. By the same token, after hours, when you roll up the kitchen and you bring out the DJ, we want to make sure that all the patrons are protected in there, and that if the place is not out of control, because in the past, it has been. There's been a lot of issues there. There have been people, involved in all kinds of activities. Then we want to curtail that. And so what we want to do is work with the people at Valari so that we can have a safe, comfortable venue for people. And that's really what, that's all we're looking for here. So we need you to comply to this letter. And if you cannot comply to the letter, we're going to have to start restricting your hours.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things that we can do to ensure that we get compliance. Now, I don't want to start doing that to you now, but at some point, if this continues, you will be subject to a rollback of your hours.
I understand.
And I don't know, maybe my colleagues feel that that's justified now. I guess we'll see at the end of this hearing. But you need to pay close attention to the conditions that were in this letter, and you need to comply with it. That's all I have.
Well, I'm just a little disappointed, because I think we've gone over this. You were here when we went over it and agreed to all of it, so kind of, and especially when a colleague or a commissioner shows up and it still continues, it just shows no regard for this board. So I personally am not pleased with the way the business is being run at this point. And I'd like to,
Maya?
Yes.
Miss Maya. So I'd be curious, now, this letter went out in October 2016, almost 2 years, and I'm wondering, how long have you gone without detail? Has
It was
just recently?
approximately September, October of 2017, last year. We called a couple of times and we were told, the last time that we called, we were told, it's okay, you don't need to call in anymore, is what we were told, and that's why we stopped the detail. However, we continued our 3 security personnel in the establishments on the Friday and Saturday nights. But that was the only reason, honestly, that we stopped.
So so, officer, is that, Randall, is that accurate? I mean, can you do that?
I don't know who she spoke with, but
If it's a-
nobody with the authorization to cancel the detail, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of this is written, I don't call it law, but it's almost a law that you have to have detail. I don't think an officer can override that unless they don't, it's not their decision, correct?
No, it's a requirement of the license, so
Okay. So
it's
someone's
not negotiable.
in error here on that one. So the other question I had is the DJ. Now, did you forget that you didn't have a DJ? I mean, did you just be upfront with us at this point? Because it appears.
No, sir. It's not that we or I forgot. I just, honestly, I just didn't think of it. I didn't think. I didn't think it through. I didn't realize it. It wasn't, I don't know. And it's a simple thing that I could have done. I don't know. I just didn't do it. But I will be here to apply for it. I'm sorry that it came to this.
Okay, thank you.
The hours, because there were neighbors also complaining about the noise there. So what were your hours? I think I had it here.
The DJ would come in, give or take, between 10:30 and 11, and usually by 1:30, we would stop the music.
8, 10, that's 11. These pictures were taken earlier, okay. I just find it very hard that we forget we don't have a DJ license. I had no regard whether you did or not.
Unless the application's changed since I last looked at it, it's sort of a check off the box kind of thing. And I don't know whether or not now that there's a special license for DJ, but I think it's sort of an all-encompassing one. But nonetheless, we'll make the application as soon as we can, latest tomorrow morning.
But even if
And you may
did-
say no.
Right, absolutely. But even at that point, checking them off, she received a letter when there was the violation. So there was it's right here in writing, so she had both ways, and never, I think you may have applied and it was denied, the DJ. We gave you a cappella.
They do have a cappella, yeah.
You originally, right.
So one last thing. I mean, you got 3 violations, not 1, not 2, 3. What would you do? It's not the first time you're around. We're pretty, word around the streets is we're pretty easy up here. But this time, you've up here several times now with the same, deer in the headlights look type of thing. And it's a little bothersome. So, I don't know. I got to see what my colleagues have to say about this because I'm a little frustrated at this point because, they've had a lot of issues there, a lot of violent issues there. I believe a police officer was assaulted there, if I'm not mistaken, back, or somebody was, or there's some fights there, maybe not. There was some issues there with that. So in your compounding things with these other violations, re-entry is a big thing for me. Re-entry is one of the worst things, after 12:30. So I'm a little frustrated here at this point. I'd be curious to see with my colleagues if they have any motions to do something.
I do. Commission, you may not agree with me, or, you know, I would just put it out there. I'm very disappointed. I go by there, there's many violations, the door's open, whatnot. First of all, as far as the police department, I really don't think anyone would tell you that you don't have to call anymore. That just doesn't happen, and it's been confirmed by Lieutenant Randall that they don't say that, okay? I think you know what your license is. I think you have to put a note up. We do not have permission to bring in DJs. There is several violations. If you're planning on coming up and council wants to put in a new application, I'm leaning more to placing this on file, putting it on file, and then one more violation, I would do an automatic rollback to probably, it would, again, I would need the vote of my colleagues. Roll your hours back to 12 o'clock would give you more time to realize what you can and can't do at the business. So if my motion would pass to place this on file, should there be another violation, this will be brought up again. And until the next meeting, I would like to see it closed till 12, till you come up and explain exactly what happened again. That, you know, this is occurring, people coming in after hours, bringing in a DJ, unless before then, obviously, you apply and it's approved. So I would like to place it on file. Should another incident occur, we will bring up all these violations, and that will all be grouped together. So if you have 3 violations now, as Commissioner LaCroix said, if there's 2 more, we will be addressing 5 violations at one time. So I would make a motion that we would place that on file.
I would not have a problem with that motion, provided that it was stipulated that all of the compliance must be followed from the October 2016 letter. So we're still going to operate under this license agreement, so that these things need to be complied with. And as long as they are complied with, I would have no problem going along with my fellow commissioners' suggestion to place this matter on file.
Then that Commissioner, on those regulations we just had, that does say to call detail.
Yes,
That's-
calling the detail
So
office.
you will continue calling,
And I'm going to ask the detail office to log in your call, so that when you call, if there's not a detail available, so be it, that's just the way it is, but your call will be logged in. I'm going to see if we can get that done.
Okay. Yeah, so I completely respect both my colleagues, and again, we're not, you know, we're nearly not, you know, tough and, you know, out to kill you, out to get, you know, shut you down. That's not what this is about. It's about showing each other some respect in, you know, in doing the right thing at the end of the day. So I'm going to support, you know, my colleague Linda Guanasso's motion when she makes it. But I think you get it this time. I can't imagine you're going to violate this stuff again in the near future. If you do, well, you know, there's nothing much more we can do other than come down hard. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for Linda to make a motion, or Bob, and support them.
I did make that in the form of a motion, that we would bring up those 3 violations you spoke of and place it on file. We'll bring up the 3 and any current ones, and we'll be looking at a rollback of probably 12 o'clock. I mean, that would be decided at that meeting. So I would make that in the form of a motion, Commissioner.
Very good. So there is a motion to place this matter on file with the caveat that the compliance of October of 2016 be complied with, and also that any violations of the future will result in a rollback immediately until our next meeting on July 18th. Okay, is that...
Well, which means we don't need a hearing, it's already a motion, so you'll be closed at 12 o'clock if a violation occurs until the next meeting. So we don't have to call it in.
Thank you very much.
I'll kind of second that motion.
Sorry, the motion is second. The motion is approved. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Item number 2, City of Revere Healthy Community Initiatives. This is an application for 3 special one-day licenses for common victular and entertainment. The application of the City of Revere Healthy Community Initiatives for 3 special one-day licenses, common victular and entertainment to be exercised at the following locations and dates. From 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Friday, June 22nd, 2018, with a rain date of Friday, June 29th, 2018, at Donnelly Square in Beachmont. Number 2, 4:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Friday, July 13th, 2018, the rain date Friday, July 27th, at Sandler Square between Dehon Street, North Shore Road, and Centennial Avenue. And number 3, 4:30 p.m. till 9 p.m. on Friday, August 10th, with the rain date being Friday, August 17th, on the lawn at the American Legion Building at 249 Revere Street. The event, is that,
Excuse me, the American Legion building is not on Revere Street.
On Broadway.
okay,
So is it at the American Legion?
Yes.
on Broadway?
Yep,
Okay,
where the
thank
farmer's
you.
market is.
Thanks, because
Okay, so that would be the American Legion Building on Broadway.
Yep.
The events will be Revere Summer Nights Markets and will include food trucks, food vendors, artisans, lawn games, and live entertainment.
Correct.
Your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Laura Flagg. My address is 65 Thurlow Ave, Revere, Massachusetts.
Very good. And can you explain to us about these events, please?
Yeah, so I've been working with Dimple Rana, the director of the Healthy Communities Initiative here in City Hall. We're going to be planning these 3 one-day events to promote food businesses in Revere, provide an opportunity for residents to come together during the summer. As you mentioned, the first one is in Beachmont, the second one's going to be in the Shirley Ave neighborhood, and the third one will be at the American Legion lawn right after the farmers market on Fridays. Just trying to spread them out amongst the different places, neighborhoods in the city to provide opportunities for residents to come together. So if you want to, I have details on the entertainment and the food vendors we're going to have as well. That's, yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
can you just tell me, we have other events that we just voted for on American Legion building. I don't know what the dates were on that. Didn't we do this?
No, I don't know.
Oh, so they won't, so you got one after the other, okay. Because I know we just voted on one for the American Legion building.
Yes, I
For
think
two
the fall
Dimples.
festival is usually in September or October. In September, yep. And then at the American Legion, there is the farmers market every Friday
Right,
during
so
the
that
summer, and that's actually our department as well. So we'll just be continuing the festivities after the farmers market to kind of go straight into this event.
Okay, so we'd go August 17, and then the next week would be the next license we gave them. Looks like busy time at the American Legion.
It is.
There's not going to be any alcohol at this event?
No.
No.
And have you contacted the police department about the details and such?
Yes, we've contacted the police and the fire department.
I don't have any other questions. Do you have any?
Sounds like a great summer.
Just how many people are you expecting to attend? Any idea?
Yeah, so again, this is the first time we're doing these events, so we're hoping between 300 to 400. Right now, for the one in Beachmont, we're hoping that there's going to be foot traffic coming off of the T right there.
Yeah.
For the Facebook event, I believe we have about 140 that have RSVP'd, but we also know that we've posted like paper flyers throughout the city. Parks and Rec is also helping promote it, and then again, just people that may not have heard of it but see it when they walk by.
So, Officer Randall, on a gathering of that size, 300 to 400, how many detailed officers, if any, are needed, since there's no alcohol?
With a community event like this with no alcohol, normally there probably wouldn't even be a police detail. We'll have officers in the area.
Okay.
Would we need fire? Will they be cooking and,
Yes, so we have contacted the fire department. They are aware of everything
oh,
that's
you've
going
been
on.
in touch
Yep.
with them? Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Okay.
Well, sounds like some nice summer events coming
Yeah.
to the city.
Hopefully you guys can join us.
Yeah, no, Looking forward to it.
I will close this section of the hearing. Are there any proponents out there? Anybody want to speak in favor of this? Hearing and seeing none, I will close that portion of the hearing. Are there any opponents out there? Anyone opposed? Seeing and hearing none, I will close that section of the hearing. I will propose a motion to approve these licenses.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
The motion is approved for the application for the City of Revere Healthy Community Initiatives for 3 special one-day licenses for common victular and entertainment to be exercised at the following locations and days: 4:30 p.m., 9 p.m., Friday, June 22nd, 2018, with a rain date of Friday, June 29th, 2018, at Donald Square in Beechmont. Number 2, 4:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Friday, July 13th, 2018, with a rain date of July 27th, 2018, at Sandwich Square between Home Street, North Shore Road, and Centennial Ave. And the third one will be 4:30 to 9 on Friday, August 10th, with a rain date of Friday, August 17th, on the lawn of the American Legion Building on Broadway. The events will be Revere Summer Nights Markets and will include food trucks, food vendors, artisans, lawn games, live entertainment for all. Item number 3. Revere Lodge 1171 of the PPOE of USA Inc., 198 Shirley Avenue, James Hannon, manager. This is an application for a change of officers and directors. The application for Revere Lodge 1171 of the PPOE of USA Inc. for a change of officer director to reflect the recent election of club officers. Name and address for the record, please, sir.
James Hannon, 111 Centennial Ave, Revere, Mass.
Very good. And what's the nature of the change here?
We have yearly elections, new officers come in, as required for us to make this change.
Very good. Any changes to the club? Any changes to the operation?
Just a new president every year, you know.
Very good.
This year is Mary Mahoney.
Yes.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner?
I have no question. It's a great club. They do wonderful things for the city.
Thank you very much. Are there any I'll close this section of the hearing. Are there any proponents out there? Anybody want to speak on behalf of it? Hearing and seeing none, I will close that section. Any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, I will close that section. I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
The motion is approved for the application of the change of officers and director. The application of Revere Lodge 1171 of the DPOE of USA Inc. for a change of officers, directors to reflect the recent election of club officers is approved. Thank you very much, sir. Item number 4. This is Hasbagoo Inc., DBA Glenn's Roast Beef, 325 Bennett Highway, Maryland. Hashbuku is the president and manager. Am I saying that correctly?
Hasbegu. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry about
It's
that.
hard to say.
People butcher my name all the time, too.
I understand.
This is an application for a transfer of a common victualer's license. The application for Hasbagoo Inc., DBA Glenn's Roast Beef, 325 Bennett Highway, for transfer of a common victualer's license from Zija Abila, said license to be exercised at the same location. Requested seating is 36. Requested hours of operation are 11A to 12A. And you are, sir?
I am Mark Glenn Hasbegu. I live in 28 Dawes Street, Revere.
Very good. And what are your plans for this location, sir?
I'm just buying this place and just basically clean it up, do some renovation, and keep the same hours, same everything. Just keep working.
Okay. All right, very good. And now this is the place up on Route 1, right?
Yes, next to Cappy's Liquor Store.
It used to be a Bill and Bob's.
Yes, long time ago.
Very
Yeah.
good.
And now it's gonna change to Glenn's Roast Beef.
Okay. I'll have to come up and try it sometime.
You're more than welcome.
As long as the roast beef's the same.
It is the same.
Is it gonna be-
Actually better.
Would anybody like to, any questions on these?
I have no questions. Have you had experience in the?
I worked there when I was 15 through all my high school years, and now it's time to own it, I guess.
Nice. Well,
Yeah, so I have plenty of
congratulations.
experience in that business.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so
It's a
much.
nice little spot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I like the parking lot. Plenty of
send-
parking space.
I'll send Commissioner Solovich there and he'll let me know.
More than welcome, sir.
Back with a good review.
All of you.
Do you have any questions, Commissioner?
No, just, it's a great location. I think it's underutilized. I think, it was several years ago, it was Bill and Bob's, right?
Yes.
It was,
It was
yeah.
very good.
And then it kind of just fell off the map, and so
That's why I'm
hopefully you
here
can
to bring it
resurrect,
back
but
up.
You're gonna put it back on the map.
best of luck.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right, no questions.
Very good, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day,
I'll
guys.
close this section of the meeting. Are there any proponents out there? Anybody else like to speak on behalf of this? Hearing and seeing none, I'll close that section. Are there any opponents? I don't see or hear any. I'll close that section. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
The motion is approved for the application of a transfer for a common victuals license of Hasbiku Inc., DBA Glenn's Roast Beef, 325 Bennett Highway, for transfer of common victual license from Zija Bila, said license to be exercised at the same location. Requested seating is 36. Requested hours of operation are 11 a.m. until 12 a.m. And that is approved. Thank you very much, sir. Item number 5.
No, you can. What's off, you can go.
You can stay if you want.
Yeah,
You have nothing else to do.
You're done.
All right. This will be a real exciting one. This is a transfer of a Class 2 license if you want to hang around.
Okay, this is item number 3. Ibrahim Al Rahim, DBA USA Motors, 404 Revere Beach Parkway. Ibrahim Al Rahim, owner and manager. What?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good afternoon. James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, for the applicant. Mr. Chairman, this is an application for transfer of a Class 2 automobile license from Circle Associates, DBA Circle Auto and Truck, to Ibrahim El Rahini, who's the owner-operator proprietor of USA Motors at 404 Revere Beach Parkway. And for Madam Clerk, I have originals of things that I had emailed over to the commission, and lest I forget before, may I pass them up? So just as a way of brief background, I represented Ibrahim when he bought this property. It's going on like 20 years or something, wasn't it? 15 years ago. And it's at the corner of Pratt Place and Revere Beach Parkway, and it was an old gas station that had some problem with the oil tanks and so forth. He cleaned it up, made it presentable, and he owns the auto repair shop there that he's been operating for 15 years. It still seems like 20, but it's 15 years. I've been successful in appearing before the Revere City Council to have the zoning map amended so as to include the property in the TED zone, which is the only zone into which we may transfer this license. So it looks like with pending the favorable action by the commission, if the commission is so inclined to do so, he should be good to go zoning-wise and license-wise. So it's been a bit of a journey for him through the process, but Ibrahim's here if you have any questions of him. Paul Simonini, the current owner of the license, also is seated there behind me, and if the commission has questions of him, he's able to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this the one on Vane Street?
No,
It comes from Broadway, the street, is that the street that comes from?
No, if the way I can orient it best, Lenny Pass's old office, come west 2 lots.
Oh, okay. Okay, I get you. I'm on the other end. We had some problems there.
Right,
With another dealer.
Yeah,
with the
this,
neighbors.
this is right on the Parkway, and Lee's Trailer Park is somewhere behind there, and across the marsh is the,
Lee's
Stop
Trailer
and Shop.
Park near, no,
it is, yeah.
near
it's-
Lee's Trailer Park?
It's about a block from Lee's Trail, about a block east of Lee's Trailer Park, and, yeah. 3 lots from the police station.
Okay, I get it now, because we had problems with one of them there, that's all. I just wanted to make sure that the previous owner probably would know, but there were problems there, there's no problems, it's cleaned up, it's ready to go. So I think I know where it is now, right? But that was the one, I think,
I forget, I used to know the name of the gas station too, I forgot.
right,
Yeah.
okay. As long as the lot's been cleaned up, we have all the approvals, and we have, and I see a counselor there dying to fill us in on what,
Oh, I will close
Let's
this
see it,
section of
yeah.
the meeting, Council, and I will ask for any proponents. So, Council, do you want to speak on behalf of this?
I do. Good afternoon, Commissioners.
is this the one?
Anthony Zambuto, 87 High Street. Obviously, I'm here as a proponent of this. This is a businessman that's been here for 15 years. Just to give a little history, when he came here, before he purchased the property, he met with the former mayor, and in no way am I disparaging the former mayor, but he gave him some incorrect information that what he could do in this building, and he couldn't do what he bought the building for. But instead of, flipping it and getting out of here, he ran a business there as what I consider an honest auto repair shop, and that wasn't what he signed up for. My point is that this is the type of businessman I want to see stay in the community. And I, certainly voted to help with the zoning in order to create this. So I give my personal endorsement to this gentleman. He's a first-class businessman, very honest. Not a lot of people. That profession doesn't necessarily come with that, but I know as he is an honest auto mechanic, runs an auto mechanic shop and a inspection sticker program, I know that he'll be an honest used car dealer. So I'm here to endorse it. Thank you.
I guess- Put your mic on.
There were issues that I was talking about. They've all been straightened out going by the counselor, that you've got the correct permits and it's where it should be now.
Yes, we actually had, before Abraham opened his auto repair shop and was awarded his license to be a state-certified inspection station, there was an inspection. Prior to the zoning amendment, the ward counselor and the Ward 2 counselor, because they're sort of on the cusp, but it's Ward 1 and the Ward 1-2 counselor also visited the premises. All of the inspectional services people and department heads, public safety officials have signed off. So I don't think there's another signature we need other than yours.
So during this whole time period, you were still working at this business?
Yeah, that's a garage. Yes.
Okay, so moving forward, everything is clean, the paperwork is cleaned up, everything is done?
It is. He inherited a mess. I remember there being some environmental concerns. We had to deal with the state people when Abraham bought the property, and that was cleared and over a date.
So the state has no problem with
No, he
what's
has a
there now?
clean 21E.
Is there a representative from Circle Associates here? Okay, he's here, okay. No, you don't have to, usually we like to have the both parties here, and I just wanted to confirm, okay. And you're on board with this transfer? Okay, thank you.
Well, that's that's great. That was my only concern. I knew there had been a problem with the, and I didn't want to vote on something that the state says we can't.
I get that.
They're
No,
okay
you're
with
right,
it?
Commissioner.
Okay.
Very good. I will make a motion to approve the application for a transfer. Is there a second on that?
I'll second the motion. Good luck.
The motion is approved, the application for transfer of a Class II motor vehicle dealer's license of Ibrahim L. Rahane, DBA USA Motors, Ibrahim L. Rahane, owner and manager, for transfer of Class II motor vehicle dealer's license from Circle Associates, Inc. Said license to be exercised at 404 Revere Beach Parkway. Requested hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the requested number of cars for sale is 10. And that application is approved.
Thank you,
luck.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We have one communication. This is a notice from the Massachusetts Alcohol Beverage Control Commission approving the application of GA Restaurant 2, Inc., DBA Santorini, for a alteration of premises to add outdoor seating. And that's the only communication. That concludes the order of business. Our next scheduled meeting is July 18th, 2018. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.